Are aliens using Antarctica as a home base? Or is Antarctica their real home? Strange, inexplicable sightings of incredibly advanced aircraft have been noted for hundreds of years all across the planet, leading many researchers to believe we may never have been alone on this planet. There is speculation about the likelihood of a strange variety of beings that may have been native to Antarctica before it froze over during the Middle Ages. Some even suggest that Egyptian pharaohs and world rulers may have regularly conducted trade with a far-off yet unknown mysterious culture. This culture is now forced to abandon the surface, living reclusive lives deep beneath the frozen ice sheet that now makes the surface of their once fertile homeworld a desolate wasteland. Helping support further research into Antarctica is critical for the future of humanity and requires support from viewers at either Patreon or any of the links in the description box below. What might be found at the South Pole could change life as we know it on Earth forever.
At some point in the next few weeks, the Pentagon is set to release a report that is allegedly going to detail in an unclassified manner everything they know about these unidentified aerial phenomenon that have been appearing in our skies. The real truth of the report is going to be what's not in the report. This is an article from Scientific American, and even they fall into this trap of A or B thinking. The story is going to be A, they're from outer space, or B, it's some unknown technology that is being deployed by some known government somewhere. They're not going to even consider the fact that there might be an unknown civilization in our deep oceans, perhaps in Antarctica, that might be responsible. They're not going to allow third and fourth and fifth options. And we see this tactic over and over again. Huge continent, virtually unexplored. Everything the Navy has seen has led them to believe that whatever these craft are, they have no problem moving between air and water. I think you could probably make the leap that cold or ice is no longer an impediment either to these craft, whatever they are. Now, a couple months back, many of you might remember, I created a series of videos that delineated these strange parallels between the story told in Game of Thrones and a region known as Tierra del Fuego. You're looking at a map that shows the geographic similarities, but there were actual similarities in the story being told to things that have happened in history, and there are articles out now that confirm this. One of the main characters was this dragon queen, this Daenerys Targaryen. They didn't do the casting quite right. The story that they were trying to tell here was of a race of people that had white hair, not blonde. Jamie Murray from Defiance was probably more of a better analog. She played the character Stamatar. We've also seen this in not Game of Thrones. We've seen this in World of Warcraft with the Blood Elves. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are looking at this picture and going, wait a minute. These don't look like anybody you were just talking about, and I don't remember anybody like this in Game of Thrones. Well, there's a new article out now that says the Maori people from New Zealand traveled to Antarctica 1,000 years before Europeans did. And that's here. This is also Scientific American. The Maori people traveled to Antarctica at least 1,000 years before Europeans. Now you see there's a problem with that story. At least as we know it. What you're looking at is the level of technology possessed by the Maori people in the 7th or 8th century. Canoes, rudimentary sails, platform, maybe a small shelter. Now, this should absolutely blow your mind. The guy on the right is allegedly a fictional character created for the series Game of Thrones. The Night King. White skin, piercing blue eyes, kind of a carved face. Very thin around the mouth, but wide around the nose. But piercing blue eyes. Now, on the left, this is a carving made by the Maori thousands of years ago. Even look at the ears. It's virtually the same guy. Now, how could that be? You cannot tell me that the people in Game of Thrones traveled to New Zealand and decided to model this character after this. And if they did, where did these people get this idea? See, the allegation I'm making is kind of a crazy one. I don't believe the story in Game of Thrones was totally fictional. I think it was lifted from a lost history that the vast majority of the public doesn't have access to. And that's why the story completely fell apart and it had to end so abruptly. Those of you who watch the series Game of Thrones know what I'm talking about. It was an incredibly well done series, fascinating to watch, and then all of a sudden, it just ended. It ended with one of the worst endings ever. What that tells me is that they ran out of material from the history, meaning something catastrophic happened. And they may have known this throughout the entire series because the whole premise of the series was winter is coming. And that is literally how it ended. The snows began to fall and the civilizations just collapsed. Much like what we would have seen in Antarctica. But I ask again, how in the world could Polynesian people that don't have blue eyes, by the way, have traveled to Antarctica from New Zealand in these canoes if it was not a temperate climate? That would have been impossible. Now, put this together with this story from September 8th, 2017. Warm Antarctic caves harbor secret life. Scientists. A secret world of animals and plants, including unknown species, may live in warm caves under Antarctica's glaciers. The caves, hollowed out by steam from active volcanoes, are light and could reach temperatures of 25 Celsius, 77 Fahrenheit. Raising the possibility of a whole ecosystem of flora and fauna deep beneath the frozen surface. They found traces of DNA from algae, moss, and small animals. But not all DNA could be identified. Quote, the results from this study give us a tantalizing glimpse of what might live beneath the ice in Antarctica. There might even be new species of animals and plants. Speaking of, scientists in Siberia resurrect new species of ancient asexual microscopic animals frozen in Russia River for 24,000 years. This is the story they're not going to talk about. Because it would make them not only have to rewrite science, they would have to look in the mirror about how they even do science and the assumptions that they've made. See, they believe they already know everything there is to know about certain things in Antarctica. And the fact that they would have to admit they were wrong and that somehow life could evolve in a different way beyond their limited way of thinking and could evolve perhaps technologies far beyond anything we know, without the social construct that everybody likes to worship these days, you see, that would bother them right to their core. Because everything has to occur in a certain way for these people. That's why I've said science is much like a religion these days. It's not the idea of considering all possibilities. Hypothesizing, theorizing, and speculating has been relegated to the realm of quote-unquote conspiracy theory, when it was the basis of all science at one time. People didn't have maps of the globe. People didn't have microscopes. People didn't have all of the modern tools and technology. So to figure out their natural world, they had to theorize, and they had to imagine, and they had to speculate and see what worked, see what didn't. Some ideas were good, some ideas were bad. But they did write things down. They realized they had to do that. They realized we can't keep it all in our heads. And they made copies of things. They were trying to tell a story of a people, and I'll reiterate this, try to do it better. There are no Maori people who have blonde hair and blue eyes, or white hair and blue eyes. This is not what the Maori look like. But we've seen this group of people over and over again. Now, why would people who look like this create carvings and statues that look like this if it wasn't something that they had encountered or experienced? And if it was a frozen, desolate wasteland, all of it, how could they have survived a trip in rafts like this? And they've confirmed this has been the case. And science has also confirmed that Antarctica, and this is phys.org, has caves with a temperature of 77 degrees with unknown DNA in them. So, anyway, I guess that's just a recap, and once again, reanimating animals from 24,000 years ago that have been frozen in a Russian river means that just because even if it were frozen and cold, doesn't mean there couldn't be life. And I guess I will just leave that there. God bless. Hope to see you tonight on Twitch. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
I'm sure you've heard the news. Ancient Antarctica is like a time capsule waiting to be unlocked. And you can be part of this journey. Beneath the ice lies a world of untold mysteries. Prehistoric landscapes, ancient ecosystems, even potential signs of early human life. But here's the catch. Uncovering these secrets requires cutting-edge technology and relentless research. That's where you come in. By pledging just $1 on Patreon or subscribing to our channel, you can support our mission to uncover the hidden past of this frozen continent. Every dollar helps us get closer to groundbreaking discoveries that could rewrite history. So, are you ready to be part of something epic? Click the link, join our community, and let's unravel the mysteries of ancient Antarctica together. Because every mystery solved brings us one step closer to understanding our own story. Subscribe now, and let's make history.